We're at the Royal College of Physicians in London, and this is part of the Connected TV World Summit 2020 virtual content series. And I'm delighted to welcome Simon Murray, who is the Principal Analyst at Digital TV Research, and he's going to give us some figures on North American pay TV. Welcome, Simon.
Thank you, John. Yeah, more specifically, US figures rather than North American figures. So I'm forecasting out the US OTT and Pay TV markets for the next 5 years. So what we're going to see by 2025, the combined revenues for SVOD and Pay TV subscriptions will equal $99 billion. Now that's down from $110 billion in 2019. Traditional Pay TV is going to lose $31 billion, and SVOD will increase by $19 billion. So there will be a net shortfall that SVOD cannot make up. SVOD will take 42% of the total revenues by 2025. That's double the proportion seen in 2019. However, the average SVOD subscriber will only spend $22 a month, compared with the average Pay TV subscriber who will spend $73 a month. This is in 2005. So there's a difference of $51 a month per subscriber there, which is pretty huge. But you can see the attraction in the US of people converting over from Pay TV to taking 3 or 4 SVOD subscriptions. They'll get a lot of their TV content from those 3 or 4 subscriptions, so they would question why they have to take a Pay TV subscription, which costs them a lot more money. Okay, the net number of SVOD subscribers, so a subscriber can take more than one SVOD subscription, overtook traditional Pay TV in the US at the end of last year. This gap will widen as SVOD increases and as Pay TV decreases. So the US is by far the most mature OTT market in the world, but there's still a lot of growth to be had. Revenues from TV episodes and movies will rocket to $73 billion by 2025. That's more than double the $35 billion seen in 2019. SVOD, as I said earlier, will add $19 billion, so to take its total up to $42 billion in 2025. Again, just sticking on movies and professionally made TV programs, AVOD will reach $26 billion by 2025. That's nearly triple the $8 billion seen in 2019. And one of the main drivers for that is the imminent launch of the Peacock platform from NBC Universal, which is going to be a hybrid version of some of its programming. Also, CBS Viacom is revamping the CBS All Access service to include some of the other franchises on the Viacom side of things. So that will also, again, be a big advertising driver. Just to give you some sort of idea, Hulu had $2 billion in ad revenues in 2019, and this is what these guys are trying to catch. And also, just to give another point of context, YouTube had revenues of $15 billion worldwide in 2019, of which about 8 or 9 billion were in the US. So we're saying that from that 8 or 9 billion, YouTube generated ad revenues of nearly $2 billion from professionally made TV programs and from movies. So the US is unique. A lot of people think what's happening in the States, both in the traditional Pay TV world and also in the OTT world, will happen elsewhere, but that's not necessarily true. The US has the greatest SVOD choice in the world by a long, long way. We forecast that the gross number of SVOD subscriptions will increase from 199 million in 2019 to 307 million by 2025. So that's obviously an increase of 108 million and shows that the US market, which is the most mature in the world, is not necessarily stagnant. There's a lot of growth to be had there. However, what we're saying is the number of homes taking at least one SVOD subscription will only increase from 73% of households to 77% of households by 2025. So what's happening is the people who actually get an SVOD subscription are going to increase the number of subscriptions they take. So by 2025, the average person will take 3.28 subscriptions, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that is one more subscription than they were taking at the end of 2019, and shows where the growth can be had. Now, as I said earlier, the US has the most competitive SVOD market in the world, with the greatest selection of services. And we think that a dozen platforms will take have more than 5 million subscribers by 2025. So despite the relative maturity, there are still new services coming on stream. As I mentioned before, Peacock will be a hybrid AVOD, SVOD service, charging about $5 a month for its service, similar to the Hulu pricing. And as I said before, CBS All Access will revamp its service. However, these three services, Peacock, CBS All Access, and Hulu, provide a similar service, and they would in some way cannibalize the content from each other because they'll have to spread over three services. Overall, not generally including those companies, but overall, we think there are too many services, and not all of them will survive. We've recently seen the closure of PlayStation Vue. We expect more to happen. They might be face-saving mergers, or they might be just closures completely. To add to the mix, some of the platforms aren't in it for the money necessarily. So Amazon Prime Video and Apple TV Plus are not necessarily there to make profits for their owners. They're there to sell other products that those owners make. In the US has more online platforms trying to replicate what goes on in the pay TV world than any other country in the world. They haven't been that successful for several reasons. One reason is frequent price hikes. However, there have been some success stories, and some platforms that will probably thrive from this. Two of them being YouTube TV, which is professionally made content, and Hulu Plus Live. On the traditional pay TV side of things, cord cutting is going to be the worst in the US than it is anywhere else in the world by a long, long way. Again, just to reiterate what I was saying before, people think what's going to happen in the States is necessarily going to happen elsewhere in the world, and that's not true. So in the next 5 years, we're not going to see anywhere near the same level of cord cutting that we've seen in the US. So traditional pay TV revenues peaked in 2015 at $105 billion. We're forecasting a $48 billion decline by 2025. That's going to take the total down to $57 billion. All the platforms are losing subscribers and losing money. Nearly 6 million pay TV subscribers were lost in 2019 alone. The total has fallen by 20 million since the peak year of 2010. We think that 2019 will be the worst year for declines. However, the total will continue to drop, and it's going to drop by 5.44 million in 2020. We're expecting 64 million pay TV subscribers by 2025. That's down by 40 million since 2010, and even down by 20 million since 2019. So pay TV penetration will plummet from 91% of TV households in 2010, to 53% by 2025. The big question, of course, is why this won't happen elsewhere. There are several reasons for this. The US is unique amongst other countries in the world. It has the most mature market, has the greatest number of choice, and as I mentioned earlier, it also has the greatest amount of online choice as well. So no other country will suffer as much as the US will. All operators will lose subscribers. The telcos especially will lose subscribers because their focus is more on OTT and broadband now than on traditional pay TV. For example, AT&T has recently admitted that it's no longer marketing its DirecTV satellite TV platform, which is very interesting indeed and sort of begs the question why they bought it in the first place. But anyway, there are question marks over the future of DirecTV with a possible merger with its rival Dish TV, often reported or mooted. Well, this question is a bit old now because these people should have done these things before a few years ago, before the situation got really bad. And what really does stand out is the fact that they aren't doing that much. They're not really changing the way that they do things. They are embracing the SVOD platforms to a certain extent, but they're not offering something unique that they can't get anywhere else. They are not necessarily offering aggregated platforms with cross-platform recommendations and cross-platform search. There are some incentives to take an SVOD platform via your pay TV operator, such as promotional discounts on prices, but there aren't many things that they're doing. And they seem to be concentrating more on the broadband world, which of course affects the SVOD platforms, than on the traditional delivery. Thank you very much.